Hey guys, I'm back, and this is round 2 with Hellraiser. And Hellraiser is probably my most favorite class in the game, just because of the sheer damage output and crowd control that they have. They have one thing that most people don't seem to utilize that often. I really don't see it in pickup groups. In fact, I haven't really seen it that much in organized groups that I've been in, and that is the Here Kitty. C4 attracting zombies, guys, that's a taunt. It works on specials, it works on large groups, and it does its job, and it does it really well. It can save you and save your teammates in some really dire situations. It's the ultimate clutch ability next to the Fixer's Gas Cloud, in my opinion. That being said, I think Claymores are greedy, and I think that a lot of people don't know how to utilize them properly. If you pick up something on the map, if you pick up these equipment cases and there's still equipment left behind after an encounter, then you're obviously not doing it right. One of the reasons I don't like claymores is because you can very easily misposition them. You can put them in a place where you know that the zombies are most definitely going to come from this location. And just because the placement isn't just right, if it's too far ahead on a ledge, zombies can go right over it without touching it, and you have to manually shoot at it. If the angle's not right, there's all kinds of scenarios that make the claymores just absolutely terrible. If you know what you're doing with the claymore, and I'm not arguing against people that are fans of the claymore, if you know what you're doing with it, it's absolutely a viable piece of kit. But I don't think anything can beat having a taunt. That being said, I am going to go into details on using both of them. Um, if you're not going to use Here Kitty, then you're probably going to want to go with Not Today, because obviously neither one of these are going to benefit you in any way if you're using Claymore. So you're just going to have the additional incapacitation skill. But anyway, moving on with the current build. I don't really see, again, if I'm using C4, there's no benefit to having either of these because they're both Claymore related, so the obvious choice is Welcoming Committee. Now, I know a lot of people complain pretty frequently that mortars aren't very good, but I think most people who have been around them long enough know that that's absolutely not true. And a mortar that can kill 25% more targets is absolutely wonderful in those large encounters, like in Tokyo, for instance. So there's that. That's the obvious choice if you're running C4. The next point, I really have a hard time choosing between these two to some degree. For the most part, I'm almost always running direct and blast, and that's for one reason and one reason only. That's for utilizing it with Thumper, but I'll get into that in a moment. If you're starting out early on and you haven't unlocked the Thumper yet, if you're just leveling your class, I highly recommend just going with Nimble Thumbs. Nimble Thumbs is absolutely phenomenal with the shotguns, both the tier 3, tier 2, tier 1. It works all the way around. And next we have the Walk Softly. Obviously, if you're leveling, you're going to want to just pick some of this stuff up as you go. But again, Walk Softly, it's going to start you out with a tier 2 shotgun. If you're playing with this particular build, you don't necessarily have to utilize that. You could just go with your starter gun and wait until you pick something up if you're focused more on the Thumper build. But I just prefer to have that shotgun at least always in hand, primarily because I'm going to go highlight this real quick. I don't know if a lot of people are aware of it. I'm sure many of you are. But I want to point out that the shotgun has a very high penetration rate. It's got a max penetration of 2, and that penetration at close range will go right through a decent chunk of zombies, but I think it's like 2 or 3, something like that. So again, it's just beneficial to have something like that big and heavy right off the bat. So I'm actually kind of torn between using Pickpocket and I'll Take That. If you're not on it 100% of the time, it's easy to lose out on the I'll Take That. You know, if people are aiming for the specials faster than you, if you're not quick on the draw, I'd probably just go with Pickpocket. But for the most part, I'm comfortable using I'll Take That because I know that when I'm running the Thumper build, I'm going to get that kill on the special zombie. I respond to them pretty well, so it seems to be working for me. But yeah, either one of these are great. Again, I don't want to mess with Tooled Up. There's really no point in not having constant sustainability on the map. What I mean by that, guys, is Sure, I can carry 3, but if I'm in an encounter where I have to use all 3, I don't have any way of regenning until I find the next equipment drop. Equipment is sparse and insane and extreme, as most people already know. If you're new to it, there you are. So next up, we have third hand free refills, etc. If you're going with the Scorched Earth build, free refill. Which one is it? Primary weapon. Both primary weight. Okay, that's the one I'm thinking of. So if you're running low or you have reload problems, I think you should always go with third hand, because if you're using the shotgun, the tier 2 shotgun, and you have max penetration, getting your 15 zombies is usually anywhere between, I think, 3 to 4 shots, and it's going to instantly reload. Now, there definitely is an internal cooldown on this ability. I don't know what it is exactly. I don't know if it's 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 60 seconds. It's really hard to figure that out and time it just right, because I don't always get very consistent groupings where I can pull it off to actually, test it out. But it does have a cooldown. If you're not okay with the cooldown and pacing yourself, or if you feel like the game is outpacing you, I'd say just go with free refill 2 for the reload. This is obviously just for ammo regen. Now, Scorched Earth, I think, is absolutely wonderful. Between that and Deep Pockets. Deep Pockets is actually nice because it carries over into your heavy weapon. As you know, the Hellraiser starts out with the Hailstorm MGL, which I think you get like 8 rounds or something like that. And then when you use Deep Pockets, you get 11. So it's 3 extra grenades. You can go with the improved one, and I don't really see that much of a benefit to it if you're wanting to run a shotgun build. If you're running to focus on nimble thumbs and not worry about the extra explosion damage, which I'm about to get into, then having the extra heavy rain's good. Sorry, I got distracted. Let's get back on it. So Scorched Earth, it's going to set the nearby area on fire. You can control where this fire's going, guys. Like I was saying earlier, if you use a Claymore, you should be using Scorched Earth. Just period, you should be using Scorched Earth. It's going to cover the ground to make up for any mistakes that might occur. And that most common mistake when using claymores, did I say mortars earlier? The most common mistake when using a claymore is putting it out too early. If you put it out too early and you're preparing for stuff, most commonly there's always that 1 or 2 single zombies that run ahead of the pack before the big brunt of the attack comes, and those will trigger your claymore and you've lost it. It's done nothing for you at that point. So Scorched Earth definitely comes in handy because it does its fire damage for you after it's already been triggered. Sure, the main explosion didn't hit your target, and again, if you're not using directed blast, if you're not using directed blast, you should be using Scorched Earth. So I tend to like it with the C4 as well. Again, I kind of bounce back and forth between the two of them, just depending on how I feel for the day. But with this current loadout, I swap between this or this. But 9 times out of 10, I really believe that having Scorched Earth on hand is absolutely integral. You can aim where it needs to go as well. That's the beauty of C4. You can throw it up, you can throw it down. With Claymores, you only get it, on your flat surface wherever you're standing. So Thumper. As most people are aware by now, I think the people who are really into Hellraiser, they already know what the Thumper can do. And what the Thumper can do is what's given it by the directed blast. You can one-shot a bull with your Thumper. The Thumper explodes on impact. I have a tendency to aim to the ground, right at the feet of the object or whatever I'm trying to hit. Again, it does have a pretty decent splash radius, but I think it's important to note that the Thumper can one-shot pretty much everything. I don't think it can one-shot the spitters. I don't think I've actually done that yet, but it will one-shot a bull. It's an absolutely phenomenal gun. You can always pick up extra ammo for it, but you got to be careful when you're playing on Insane and Extreme and you're focused on using your Thumper really heavily. It's not very fair to the rest of the team when you're just like, oh, my Thumper's out, I'm going to go hit the ammo box, when you still have all your primary ammunition still full. Guys, go through that first. Don't be a dick. So if you are deciding to go away from your special killer, and you want to rock nimble thumbs and have the fast reload speed, I would say probably go with maybe deep pockets and then heavy rain just to have buku loads of extra ammo. You're going to have a lot on your grenade launcher, and your secondary weapon's not really, or I'm sorry, yeah, your secondary weapon's not really going to be doing much for you. So job satisfaction, I think that there's a lot of people. Predator, I don't think is worth using at all. Nimble thumbs, I've used it from time to time when I was playing on the PlayStation 4, but just because of the slow nature of the way this class plays, it's a very paced class. I don't think that having that extra firearm damage boost is really that beneficial. Like, the timer runs out much faster than I think it benefits you, especially when you have guns that already have high penetration. It's kind of overkill at that point. But being able to kill 15 zombies in rapid succession for a health boost is phenomenal. It gives you full shields, guys. When you have a huge swarm running at you, you throw one C4 out, you detonate it, shoot it, whatever you got to do. When that C4 goes off, you got full temp health. And it's absolutely phenomenal. It can keep people alive. If it's keeping you alive, it's keeping everyone else alive, because now you're still there doing all the damage. I don't think that knock knock is real. I don't think the breaching charge skills are really worth having in general, unless you are playing on insane or extreme, and you absolutely need to have those gun upgrades. I don't think it's really worth having. This is just by and far one of the best skills that this class can have, or any class in general. Man, it's just wonderful. And that's it for the Hellraiser. I hope you guys like the video. If you have any questions or anything, please feel free to message me, or post your response in the comments below. I'm always happy to engage with people, and stick around for my next one. Bye.